Delta.
Thank you, Chairman. And I promise to finish this in about 17 minutes, and I mean it. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Both cyber and electronic warfare are important and hot topics, as we see operations playing up in these two domains every day. The Russia-Ukraine crisis is a live example of how cyber and EW operations have been a precursor to conventional operations. Generally, a lot gets discussed regarding cybersecurity or attacks on critical infrastructure. But today, I will dwell on the military aspect of cyber operations and developments in the field of electronic warfare. Now, my job gets easier, as the chairman had said. You all are very familiar with both these topics of cyber and EW. Due to paucity of time, I will cover an overview of concepts, and the rest can be discussed in question and answers session. And I will be talking more on application of technology rather than the technology per se. Now, coming straight to answer regarding criticality of the cyber and EW operations. Cyber and EM spectrum pervade and unify all domains of operations, and this will increase in future as and when we embrace more of net-centric operations. Now, this encompasses the entire fabric of command, control, surveillance, battle space, management, intelligence, targeting, and attack. Everything is encompassed in this. And also, the cyber and EMS security is crucial for success of all other domains of operations, including the space operations. Now, it is important to understand that why is cyberspace vulnerable? It initially started in 1969 by the scientists of Advanced Research Project Agency of the US. They developed a system by which they could exchange their information, share the information. And that was a precursor to the internet. It was mainly meant for sharing information, and it was not designed with security in mind. Later on, the companies developed all this without any consideration for security. So it has an imperfect design which allows hackers to read, delete, or modify information. And internet's rapid expansion provides the state and non-state actors with means to undermine national interests. And then let us look at the payoffs. They are very high payoffs when we resort to cyber attacks. First and foremost is the high payoff in investment. If you look at the Stuxnet attack on the nuclear centrifuge of Iran, they destroyed so much physically, but the investment was hardly anything. There is an inadequacy of effective defenses because of the inherent vulnerability of the cyberspace. And then there is a possibility of deniability because of the attribution. It does not get attributed so easily. And easy participation of non-state actors because they do not require any physical infrastructure. It is just a matter of getting their experts and intrude into the cyberspace. And it has got capability of scalable and measured options. You want to attack banks, you want to attack communication system, one can select what signaling one wants to do, and thereafter carry out the attacks. However, while it appears very simple and we think that it is just a press of a button that the cyber attacks takes place, it takes years and years of reconnaissance, years of target data. Only then this can happen, and not just at the press of a button. Today, more than 50 countries have military cyber forces. Others have planned to establish them in future. China has combined space, cyber, and EW to form TLA Strategic Support Force Command. And the US has given an equal status of a combat command to its cyber command. So these nations build and maintain viable cyber options to control the conflict escalation and shape the conflict environment at all stages. Other nations also have cybersecurity measures in place, but probably they do not announce the military application as of now. So I am going to talk on cyberspace operations with a template of an air defense or air operations that will make it easier for all of us to understand, and we would be familiar with the concept. So first, we start with the concept of ISR. Like any other operations, it is a combined intelligence which contributes to the space intelligence. One needs to get inputs on what it needs to be surveyed. Is it the AVEX ground exploitation station? Is it the infrastructure? Is it the UAVGS? All these things gets discussed, and only then does the surveillance and reconnaissance starts. It is a kind of a template for terrain analysis. You want to see the terrain of the cyberspace. Suppose if I go and look at North Korea, I'll find the terrain totally barren. There would probably not be any targets. If I look at the US, I will find a lot of opportunities, and then I'll have to shortlist the targets. If I look at Israel, probably I'll find a lot of guards on the terrain. Probably it will be difficult to intrude into those systems. So depending upon what wants to target, it gets analyzed, and thereafter we look at the topology, data flow, entry, exit points, and things like that. And thereafter, nodes, links, processes, assets, they all get scrutinized. In cyberspace, there are three interdependent areas. That is the physical, computers and other such things, hardware, logical, that is the software, and the persona. When the surveillance is carried out, it is carried out on all these three assets, because you never know, probably the human being would be the weakest link, which can be exploited and which has been exploited. Then there are high payoff targets which are taken on. Then counters cyberspace surveillance also gets carried out. Continuous target surveillance for attack is very, very important. It is not like you have an headquarter where the building would continue to stay. But what is happening to the computers? Have the computers been changed? Have the software been changed? Has there been an upgrade of the system? These are the areas which one has to look through the cyberspace. And that is how the target folders get monitored, earmarked, and then further activities get undertaken. Coming to cyber defense, multi-layered defense, as we do in our air defense also, we talk of anti-intrusion, anti-spam, and all those other activities we all aware of. Then signature-based defense. What it implies is that cyberspace intrusion has specific pattern depending upon the initiator. Now this pattern is taken in as a template to suspect intrusion, and that is what put into the automation. And this gives a pattern. You would find the the data speeds increasing, or something else happening, which is unusual from the normal traffic. That is how the intrusion gets detected. And then we talk of passive defense, in which the fake sites get deliberately created with the big holes in that. And this is also called a honeypot, where the intruders probably get into this and they reveal what are their capabilities and how they are going to get into the backdoor entry. And with the more automation, it would be the automation which would detect an alarm. And it will be the person in charge who would be the person on the loop, who would thereafter decide whether it is an alarm, which is a genuine alarm, or a false alarm. And with improved sensors and prioritized defense, that would ensure the clean and blue cyberspace. Cyber deterrence, again, I'm sure you all are familiar with deterrence, but there are some peculiar issues as far as cyberspace is concerned. First is the covert nature. If it is a covert, you are not able to signal. In 2019, June 2019, when the American Global Hawk was shot down by Iran, President Trump that time wanted to initiate a physical strike. But at the last moment, he recalled that strike. But then the US Cyber Command carried out an attack. But who would know that they have carried out an attack? The US deliberately leaked this information to Yahoo News, and that is how they wanted to spread the information. They targeted the marine air defense systems, but they could not do the battle damage assessment because it never got activated. So these are the peculiar issues of the cyberspace. So how do you deter? You deny the attack success by your robust systems, resilience, so that in case even if the attack has taken place, you get back within a couple of days, or you get back fast. The US concept is to do a loud attack. That means you leave some signatures which point it to the originator. But this has a lot of drawbacks because you also leave back the signature of your attacks, template of your attack. And then, of course, there are other means which would be probably diplomatic, or they would be even the law enforcement. This is what the Americans did when they prosecuted 5 Chinese people who were doing cyber espionage. Coming to the cyber offensive, power projection, through this, it requires extensive planning, reconnaissance, continuous monitoring for target updates, and it could be a preemptive or strategic strike. Preemptive means in case the country knows that there is an attack imminent from the hostile country, they would attack that computer system. It is like just like an intercepting an intrusion. And then strategic strikes to convey your meaning and the power projection. The main issue is perishability and obsolescence of the target. If the system gets updated, software gets updated, you will not have that target available to you. You start all over again. However, it has been noticed that on an average, it takes 284 days to pick up an intrusion. It's not so easy to pick up an intrusion in case that is done in a smart manner. Other issues are the personal are most crucial elements. Special career progression is required in case one wants to really look at seriously. Contingency plans play a very, very important role. If today the cyber attack takes out your command and control system, how would you function? What are your plans? That is important because these kind of attacks are inevitable in future. Therefore, contingency plans are important, and Ukrainian armed forces have kept this system, a normal landline system, as an alternate in case their control and command and control totally gets decimated. So we have to have systems like this. The Russians use typewriters when they want to convey certain things at a top level. And of course, we have talked about doctrinal changes and reorganization, and that is, of course, is required. Coming to the EW, the main thing is now it has become very, very congested because even the civil community wants to use this as well as it is contested. Now, a few historical lessons which I would like to bring out. It is applicable globally, not to any specific country. Firstly, it gets ignored in peace. In Vietnam War, the Americans lost their Phantom because even though they were aware of SAM, they did not do anything about it. Israelis 1967, a great success. In 1973, they were surprised and they lacked the EW equipment, ECM equipment against SAM 6s or Shilkas. EW community or most of the countries are reactive in planning. For example, now we are talking of integrated air defense system. We are talking of ISA radars. However, the countries are lacking in their communication intelligence, communication jamming, while everybody is going networked. So EW is generally has been reactive, but things are, I'm sure, going to change. With higher density, the EM electromagnetic management is going to be more and more crucial because the windows, EMS windows are very, very narrow now, and we have to manage it. So this is a part of planning right from the beginning. Upgradations get delayed, therefore they are not effective. And most of the countries lose this specialization in peace, and then they want these specialists to come during operations when it is too late. Current developments, exploitation in all domains, including the space. Just 6 months back, US Cyber Command has positioned an EW jammer for the space application. They would be jamming the SATCOMs. And most of the armies do not move without an EW integrated system along with that, especially the Russians and East European countries. Technological advances have taken place, digitization, ISA, and small weight and power achievements. While this has been applied in radars and other applications, it is just gaining traction as far as EW systems are concerned. There are large number of suites upgradation are taking place all over the world. Eurofighter long-term evaluation. They are going in for much better ASPJs and including the escort jammers. Growler E18 has already developed high band and low band jammers, and now they are going in for the mid band jammers. Rafale F4 standard will have much improved spectra suite. Gripen is being upgraded. F-35 is going to have ASQ 239 ASPJ with much better situational awareness and both defensive and offensive capabilities. JF-17 Block 3 will have missile approach warning systems and other such improved awareness. So comprehensive EW suites are being considered. Now most of the fighters would have missile approach warnings and towed decoys. Also, there has been a revival of escort jammers due to integrated, multi-layered, and multi-spectral air defense environment.
Request you to wind up, Delta. Thanks.
Escort jammers all over the world, including Saab, Eurofighter, ECR, have been employed. This I have covered. The main thing I want to cover is the escort jammers are not substitute for the UAVs because of the capability and the strength. Challenges, you all, I am sure, are aware of net-centric operations, which makes things difficult for the EW people. The way forward is to have a modular open system architecture, exploit net centricity. If radars can get integrated, the EW systems can also get integrated. 2 months back, in the US, they uploaded the latest program on board the F-16 with upgraded jamming system, with the reprogrammed jamming system, and also the analysis and identification system. Exploitation of net centricity. If you network the EW system themselves, it improves its capability. There is a need to give due importance to the communication EW, which has been lacking. And integrated EW suites is to be considered for all. Spectrum management is gaining more and more crucial importance to avoid fratricide and EMI. There is a need to create specialists and, of course, do realistic training, which is very important. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.